Some of this you will carry individually, and other bits of it you can as part of your group. So, the cooker, the tent, and things like the first aid kit and group shelter, you'll spread that among your group. Not everybody's going to be carrying all of that themselves. The very first thing that you're going to have is your rucksack. Now, it's really important to realise that these rucksacks aren't actually waterproof. They're reasonably water resistant, but if it's raining all day, these will eventually leak. So, what we recommend is some sort of big dry bag. Once this is folded over a couple of times and clipped, it's waterproof. So you can put all your stuff in here. So we've got one of these per rucksack. What you might want to do, and what some people decide is quite good for them because of the way they like to organise it, is they get a whole load of rubble bags. A rubble bag is like a smaller, heavy-duty plastic bag, really thick. And what they do with that is they organise the bag. So in here, they might get a rubble bag, they might put a sleeping bag in it, and they might put that at the bottom so they know that rubble bag's got their sleeping bag in it. They might get their spare clothes, put that in a rubble bag, and put that in next. And that way, whenever they're looking for something, they know which bag to go into. It also means that if for some reason they leave this open, it's providing a bit more protection for all the equipment that's in here. So, you put your rucksack liner in, and then the next thing you're going to want in there is a sleeping bag. The whole idea about packing your rucksack is we're going to be packing it so that the things that we don't need until we get to the campsite are going to be at the very, very bottom. So what sort of things do you think that might be? Any ideas? Obviously one of them is a sleeping bag, but what else might we want to put on the rucksack?
So you're going to do the night, what are you going to do when you get to camp? What's that?
You said brush your teeth.
Right, so your toothbrush night at the bottom, that's an example, I suppose. What else? What are you going to do at night? What do you do every night when you go home generally?
What did you say? It's not far off.
Somebody said it. Somebody said it.
You got it once.
So somebody mentioned something about jammies. So it sounds a wee bit funny to think about taking jammies when you're camping. But if you're out walking, imagine it was raining all day and you're out walking. You want the inside of your tent to be completely dry because that's where your roll mat's going to be, that's where your sleeping bag's going to be. So you do want a change of clothes for wearing inside your tent. So that can be whatever you want it to be. Like sometimes people just take a pair of joggers and a t-shirt and a fleece, and that's their tent clothes for wearing inside their tent. It means that at the end of the night, if it is really wet, if it's raining, they can put something dry on and get into their sleeping bag and be nice and comfortable. Does that make sense? Cool. So I've put in my sleeping bag. With these sleeping bags, I've stuffed it in and I've put the toe end in first. And that means that all the air can escape out the top of it. It's also got these straps on the side, these compression straps. So what I can do is I can actually make this a lot smaller by pushing down on it and pulling these compression straps. It's important when I do this, I'm going to be doing it fairly equally. I'm not going to pull one side down very, very tight. I'm just going to work my way around to get it to a decent size. There we go, that's the size of our sleeping bag. I can now pop our sleeping bag into the very bottom of the rucksack. If I wanted to, I could put it in a rubble bag beforehand so that it would give it a bit more protection. And if you're using one of our sleeping bags, you'll also want one of these liners. So these are just cotton liners. They're like a mini sleeping bag that fit inside your sleeping bag. And it helps keep everything a bit cleaner. It helps to add a wee bit of warmth as well. So it's really useful if you do sleep quite cold. Cool. I would then rubble bag into my tent clothes, or even just a heavy duty bin bag with my tent clothes, and I put the tent clothes in there. So maybe a pair of joggers, a spare t-shirt to put on, maybe another warm layer like a fleece, doesn't need to be very thick, and a spare pair of warm fluffy socks to keep my feet nice and toasty. I'll put that in next. What else am I probably not going to use till I get to the campsite? So we've got a toothbrush. I mentioned a toothbrush. Anything else? Your what is it? Your cutlery, yes, your bowls and cutlery. So if we're not going to be eating throughout the day, I can then put in the bowls, the cutlery. Now, this here's our stove, and our stove actually packs down to this. So our stove packs down to a pretty small size. So if I know that I'm not going to be cooking for lunch, I can put my stove in next. With my stove, I'll also have the gas canister as well, so I can pop that in. Alternatively, if within your group you decide somebody can carry the stove and somebody can carry the tent, at this point you would probably put your tent in. So if you were the person carrying the tent, you wouldn't bother putting your stove in, instead you'd put the tent in. What you're allowed to do with the tent, so this is a 3-person tent, and this is what it looks like when it's packed up. What you're allowed to do is you're allowed to separate it. So I could, if there's 3 of us carrying this, somebody might carry the stove, I could give somebody else the poles to carry, and the poles can just slip down the inside of the bag. The tent itself, I can just stuff in the bag. I don't need to be too, we don't bother rolling or folding or anything like that. We just stuff it in. If I stuff it in, it'll take up, find the best way of take up space. Great. Okay, so pop the tent in. What else do I need in there? What else am I going to be doing, especially with a stove? Food, yeah. So my dinner, my food for the second day, maybe my breakfast, my lunch for the second day, I can put all of that in next because I'm not going to need that on day one. My bowls, my cutlery, my mug. A mug's really important. You're probably going to want some sort of hot drink at some point. I can put all of that in. Cool. So all that's in so far. Now what do I want? Any ideas? So if I'm a bit cold, or I think I'm a bit cold, I could then put in a spare warm layer. So this is a pretty warm fleece that I can put in next. So now get to things that, I've got all the things at the bottom that I'm only going to use at the campsite. I'm now getting to the point where I'm putting things in that I might need throughout the day. So they need to be a wee bit higher up in the bag. In here, I could also put in the group first aid kit as well. So you only need one of these per group, and we'll give you it. So somebody in the group needs to carry it. So I'd probably put that in next, or I'd put that in very, very top. And if I'm the person carrying the group shelter, I'd probably put that in as well. And when we go outside to look at tents, we'll have a look at group shelters. It's like, does anybody remember the parachute games from primary school? Yeah, it's like that. But you can sit underneath it, protects you from the rain, gives you somewhere to hide out the weather. Really, really good. Okay, so now that I've got all of that in, and now if I'm not wearing them, I want to put in my waterproofs. So next thing to go in, probably my waterproof trousers, my waterproof jacket. Who's got a waterproof jacket? Hands up, anybody's got one. So you're more than welcome to use your own waterproof jacket, or you're more than welcome to use one of ours. I would just double check that your jacket is actually waterproof before coming out the excursion. You don't want to find out on day one when the sky's open and it starts raining that your jacket's not waterproof. And what you can do is you can bring it on the training weekends and you can ask one of the team, and they would let you know, or you can speak to Nav and he would give you some advice. So if
It's
Oh, cool. Yes, the water bottle I can put in here, or a lot of bags have side pouches to put your water bottle in. The other thing that I can put in here is my lunch as well. I can have the lunch sitting on top of my rucksack so it doesn't get squashed. In the very, very top, so these rucksacks have got a main compartment, they've got side compartments, side pouches that you can put things like the water bottle and things like that in. You don't need to carry any more than 2 litres of water. It's all you need to carry. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to refill at the campsite. Sometimes people come out with 1 litre of water, but if the weather is very, very warm, like it was last year, that's not enough. So we're kind of recommending people come out with at least 2 litres of water. You can refill throughout the day. It's very important to keep hydrated. Very, very top of the rucksack. Probably want to throw some snacks in there. Your map and compass if you're not using it. If you've got a torch in there, maybe some toiletries, just things that you might need access to throughout the day. The first aid kits we give you will not have any pills in them, so they won't have anything like paracetamol or ibuprofen or antihistamines in it. We are not allowed to give you any. So if you think that you need anything like that, if you think you need any painkillers or pain relief, it's important that you bring your own. It's important that you bring what you normally take. Okay? So in there, head torch, any snacks that you want, your compass, your map, if you're not using it. If you need any painkillers, put your painkillers in there. Any personal medication, put your personal medication in there. And you probably want just a small packet with some glasses and things like that, just in case you do have a small cup, so you're not having to rummage around with your rucksack. Once you've done that, and your rucksack is packed, we can clip it. So, I'll pass this around so you can all feel a bit of the weight of it. Now, what's not in here is food and water. Water's fairly heavy. A litre of water weighs about a kilogram. So that's the other reason why you don't really want any more than 2 litres of water. So I'll pass this around, you can feel the weight. You can even pop it on and see what it feels like when you're back. All these bags are adjustable, so you can change the back length of it. But there's no point looking at that today. We'll look at that on a training expedition and we'll show you how to size the rucksack. Because it's much easier to do when you're using the rucksack that we're going to have. And it's really it's not that heavy. He's at it. So that's the one thing that's saying. The tech's always going to be a bit heavier. Try it on, see what it feels like. Because remember, you're not going to be walking or looking for that.
I need my that's not too bad.
pass around, quickly, pass around, guys.
So it's really important.
Come forward, guys, come forward.
Your rucksack, things that you're not going to use until the campsite at the bottom. The next level up are things that you're maybe only going to use once or twice.
Same size as you.
And then finally, the very top are things that you might want.
Babs, he's dropped his card, his bank card.
That necklace you've got in your hand, that's maybe got some other bits and pieces on it, like toiletries and things like that.
That shows, watch your money's about to pop out your pocket.
Again, when we're talking about toiletries, we're talking about things like toilet paper. Don't bring an entire roll of toilet paper. Packet of, the packet of pancakes that you get, are probably better than a full roll of toilet paper. The same as if you're bringing toothpaste.
Shh, guys. Focus.
Don't bring a full tube of toothpaste, try and bring a smaller one.
Guys, any questions so far? Because remember, the last thing you want to do is bring stuff you're not going to use, and you're going to be carrying the weight yourself. So ask questions now. Last thing you want is bring 5 tubs of curries for your mum and bratai and all that sort of things. You're not going to use. Remember, take what you need only. So ask questions now, yeah? Because the supervisors will not be carrying your bags.
What shoes do you wear? So, you've got a choice with shoes. So really good question, actually, we might all want to listen to that.
Shh, guys.
It is a really, really good question. I was asked, what shoes do you wear? You've got a couple of choices. You can wear boots, or you can wear decent trainers that provide ankle support. So, if you go, so what I'm wearing, you've got boots on, Alan? So Alan's got boots on. I've got kind of decent trail shoes. So you're wanting something like that. If you're wearing trainers, you need to be really careful and you need to make sure that they actually do provide some sort of ankle support. A lot of the trainers that you get are designed to be very light and very flexible. You don't necessarily want it to be too flexible when you're out walking with a heavy rucksack on. The reason being, if it is too flexible, there's the chance that you could, it's not providing the right level of support, and if you go over your ankle, it could be quite painful. So a pair of trail shoes is ideal. You can get trail shoes at a really reasonable price nowadays if you go somewhere like Floyd Doors or Decathlon. You can get them for a really reasonable price. And a pair of boots can be quite good in winter as well. I know a lot of people who buy the boots for D&D, and then when it starts snowing over winter, they put the boots back on and they walk around in the boots. Really good question. Any other questions?
So so on the day, just going to go through what will you be providing if they haven't got time to get it?
Yeah, the only thing we cannot provide is footwear. That's the only thing we can, and that's just because for us to have enough sizes of footwear, it would just be ridiculous.
So if you've got your own waterproofs, bring them along. If you've got your own rucksack, bring them along. If you haven't, if you're struggling, then we have got spare ones, yeah?
And again, if you just want to let Nav know, you can just say to Nav if you're like, yeah, can we have kit? And that way we can just ensure that we've got enough kit.
Yeah.
And I imagine that most of you will need a tent, and most of you will need a stove, and that's absolutely cool. We'll bring enough tents and stoves for everybody. 3-person tent. We'll get a chance to have a look at it properly outside. What are your thoughts? Does this look like a palace, or does it look like a tiny hovel? Looks like, so some people are saying a palace, other people, does it look quite small to some of you? No? That's good. Well, when we get outside and we pitch them out for lunch, you can actually open them up, you can have a look. One of the rules we have with tents, one of the rules we have with tents are that nobody wears their footwear inside the tent. And try and keep the inside of the tent as clean as possible. So when these tents come back from the expedition, we clean them out, we hang them up to dry, we turn them inside out, give them a shake, we clean it. Because we want you guys to have as clean a tent as possible. So the rules that you guys need to follow are you don't wear your footwear in the tent, and you try and keep inside the tent as dry as possible. But when we head out after lunch and we set them up in the grass, you guys can have a look at it, you can see what it feels like to have 3 people in this tent. And we've also got some 2-person tents as well, so you can have a look at them and you can see the size difference. The 3-person tents are definitely a wee bit roomier. The disadvantage of having 2 people in a 3-person tent, anybody know?
That's good food.
Excellent, yeah. It gets a lot older because you don't have the same number. You've got a much larger space to fill up with two bodies. The advantage, obviously, is that you've got a lot more room. And we quite like these tents because you can more or less sit up in them as well. Maybe some of the other tents you've seen tend to be much lower and you don't have as much space. The only slight disadvantage of these tents are they're a wee bit heavier. But if there's 3 people carrying it and you can distribute the weight around, that'll make things a bit easier. Food's really important. When you're away at lunch, have a think about food, because we're going to talk about food after lunch. And what I'd like everybody to do and to go away with is a meal plan. Now, you don't need to stick with this meal plan, but I'd like you to at least have the first draft of the meal plan, thinking about what you're going to have for breakfast, what you're going to have for lunch, and what you're going to have for dinner. One of the top tips that we see with a lot of groups that are successful, is they plan as a group. So in their sitting, they sit down and they say, who likes what? You like pasta, you like rice, or they decide we'll just make the one meal for everybody. So it means that when we go out and buy our food, we just buy it all together, and we then cook it together. So when you get into campsite, you find a group that's planned like that,